Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tēnā koutou te whare. He mihi nui ki ngā tūhoi katoa, tēnā koutou. Nā rangatira, nā whaia, nā tuakana, nā iwi katoa, tamariki mokopuna, tēnā koutou. I'm humbly standing to take Tiria Ture's place because she was unable to be here today and I feel considerably whakama. But as a Pākehā, it is a proud opportunity also to own the obligations of Te Tiriti o Waitangi and the necessity for us to own the history from which we have benefited and Ngāi Tuhoe have had to fight to survive. And you have. This bill is these two bills are extraordinary in achievements, and I want to acknowledge the people in the gallery who made it happen and the people back in the home. Tēnā koe tamati, me te kotahi a Tuhoe, and everyone involved. I'd also like to acknowledge the Honourable Christopher Finnison and his office, because this bill could not have happened without both parties being prepared to be brave, creative, and challenge the assumptions and prejudices of what a Te Tiriti settlement can actually contain. I'd like to acknowledge the negotiation skills of Tuhoe, the persistence, the radicalism, the creativity that has always challenged our nation to do better than we have done. Today is a great day, and it's your day. I also would like to mihi to te Urewera. It was never a park. That was a label imposed in the 1950s based on an old behaviour pattern since colonisation, and it has melted in the mist, like all the other attempts to colonise the heart of the motu and the children of the mist. The history of Tuhoe and the Crown is turning a corner today because the Crown have finally conceded that Te Urewera cannot be treated as a parcel of real estate. Te Urewera, the living entity and the inseparable connection with Te Mana Motu Hake o Tuhoe, is being acknowledged in this legislation. Finally. Thank goodness. Thank goodness there is no going back to the failed attempts to burn, to kill and to destroy in the wake of Te Kooti seeking refuge in Te Urewera. Thank goodness we are not going back to the failed colonial assaults on Maunga Pohatu and the dawn ninja nightmare that was visited upon Ruatoke. We must never go back to those moments. I personally look forward to paying visitor fees and hut fees and any other fees to the tangata whenua and the governing body who will manage this area, because it's a debt of gratitude that we can visit their rohi and be embraced by their ngahere, the magnificent maunga awa roto and trees, and the equally magnificent undefeated nation. We owe you apologies and we owe you respect. When the tar seal runs out beyond Murupara, it is entering another world. And we, the Pākehā, have always needed a passport, even if we didn't realise it, a passport of respect and recognition. And I say, bring that on. Sorry is not all we can say today. It is the job of treaty-committed Pākehā to say more than sorry. And we're here to say today that the Green Party fully supports your achievements and the achievement of the Crown. However, no Te Treaty settlement alone will bring all New Zealand citizens into the light. It's going to take a real Crown investment to shift the Pākehā understanding of Tuhoe and Te Urewera. The ugly demonising of Tame Ete, the so-called terrorists, has been so reminiscent of the ugly demonising of Rua Kenana in 1916. That is why the Greens don't accept the concept of full and final settlement when the full and final recognition and restitution has not and cannot be paid. When Pākehā understand what full and final is, then I'm with it. Until that day, we need to continue the dialogue. When will the settlers settle? A wise man has put out that challenge to us. The responsibility remains on the Crown and the Kawanatanga to this process which has been set up, and it's a great process, and it's a permanent framework for powerful and often uncomfortable dialogue. That's what the treaty process offers us. And we have to stop new breaches taking place. October 15, 2007 is not forgotten. The children of Ruatoki have the scars. And the poverty Whenever I travel through you, the rohi caused by colonisation needs to be held and supported by a permanent commitment from this Parliament to real support as well as settlement. There have been other uncomfortable processes, and I'd like to acknowledge the leadership of Tuhoe and the Select Committee for a very, very fine job on these laws. And also the complexities around boundaries and borders that came to the Select Committee, which I think my colleague Meka Whaitiri has outlined extremely well. The kāwanatanga processes do not deal effectively with what are tangata whenua boundary issues. We are not capable of that. However, I was really assured to hear from the Minister that the Waitangi Tribunal is not going to marginalise the other iwi, because as we have seen throughout the settlement process, where there are smaller groups or boundary groups marginalised, we can never settle. We need ongoing dialogue, and we need the place where everybody can get up and make their claim. I'd like to acknowledge that there are great traditional ways of resolving boundary and border disputes, which can be undermined by Crown processes. And it's really important that we look at the overall treaty settlement process in this House and make sure that the concepts that the Crown has imposed on the process do not undermine, or basically, tino rangatiratanga ngā iwi katoa o Aotearoa. It was, however, having named all those things, it is my privilege to have attended the pōwhiri at Te Uru Taumatua, and once again be in the presence of the dynamic and theatrical whirl of Tuhoe to the rest of us, and to be moved to tears when Tainui came forward to acknowledge Tuhoe for their support in the Waikato Wars. That was a profound moment of learning. And also to recognise in Te Uru Taumatua the synthesis of ancient and contemporary sustainability being celebrated in Taneatua. It's a symbol of the future and of the settlement, that the ancient and the modern can come together through Tuhoe, and that kaitiakitanga and rangatiratanga of Tuhoe offers the whole nation, indeed the planet, a new way of understanding that Indigenous leadership will teach us how to heal our planet that we have pushed to the brink of destruction. And through acknowledging Indigenous leadership and the inseparable connections of the whakapapa of people who take responsibility, whether we allow them to or not, we can learn and we can change and we can protect our planet. So the Green Party is very, very supportive. We really believe that the kaitiaki of Te Urewera will lead us to a better way, not only for this area, but for the whole country. We absolutely believe this is about, it says in the settlement that it's not a precedent around national parks, but it's a leader, and it's about acknowledging the pataka kai as well as the concept of preservation. And actually, pataka kai is a critical thing for all of us. Some of us just seem to have forgotten that because we go, our fridge is a supermarket. But for other people whose fridge is the moana or the ngahere, they actually have something to teach us about sustainability. So if we want to survive as a human species, we better start listening. Kia ora, Tuhoe. Awesome. I also want to acknowledge the Pākehā people who've educated some of us about this. The late Judith Binney made an extraordinary contribution, and she was able to do that because of the relationships that she was able to form. Everything is relationship. Everything is about interconnection. And that's what's strong about the negotiated ideas in the settlement, is the relationships that have been established between Tuhoe and the Crown and the local communities. And it's great that we have people from Whakatane, the Mayor and others here today. It's time for Pākehā to be there at the table, but not to try and control the table. It's the Tuhoe table, and we are welcome to sit. And sometimes we can shut up. But actually, today is a day for Pākehā to speak out and acknowledge the achievement and acknowledge our part of it. We have a role to play in educating our own, and that's where Judith Binney, with her wonderful books, has led so many of us to a deeper understanding. I'm not going to say she's led us to redemption yet. I think that, or even a decent song. You know, you try to get Pākehās to work out what their song is. It's, the collective Pākehā identity is individualism and it's a bit of a problem, which you know about all too well. But the opportunity in this settlement is for Pākehā to understand more deeply the taonga, which is Te Urewera, and the and the katiakitanga and rangatiratanga of the people of the land. You know, I personally at age 17 went to Tuhoe and learned that I was second nation. What a blessing, what a great learning to stand down the river from Whakatane and realise I was second nation as cowboys on horseback rode past yelling at me in the reo, and I'm this little Pākehā girl, didn't know what they were saying. But what it taught me was I had something to learn, and I will always be grateful to Tuhoe. Like many of us, it's been the most powerful learning because the reo, the mana motuhake, the radicalism have been outstanding, and they have really helped many of us learn. So tēnā koutou for that.
Order. Member's time has expired.
Oh, okay. Kia ora koutou. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou.
Kia ora hui hui.
Honourable Nick Smith.
Tātou katoa,